I'd like to welcome everybody to the November 10th, 2020 regular meeting of the Guymon City Council. And at this time, I'd like to call on Pastor Craig, the First Management Church, to come up and give our invitation. Mr. Shepherd.
There is darkness, light. We ask all these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Mr. Swagger, in honor of Marvin Veterans Day, would you please lead us in the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call this meeting to order. Agenda item number 2 is the attendance roll call.
Good. Peterson,
Here.
Swager,
Here.
Alvingus,
Present.
Becker,
Present.
Hoffman, Mr. Petty,
Here.
Mr. Denham.
Present.
Agenda item number 3 is public comments and announcements. Do we have any public comments or announcements? Any public comments or announcements? Agenda item number 4 is approval of the consent agenda. I have stated that I might ask for a deal to be pulled, but I have my answer question.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda. Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Swager,
Aye.
Becker,
Aye.
Alvingus,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes.
Agenda number 5, just discussion and possible action to approve resolution number 20-14, authorizing the retirement and adoption of Queenstown poker.
Well, okay, just to give you a little bit of a background. Poker is a 9-year-old German Shepherd and has faithfully served the city of Guymon since 2015. He's had one handler during this time, that's Sergeant Derek Hamilton. During this time, Poker has become a close friend to Sergeant Hamilton and his family. Sergeant Hamilton has asked upon his retirement to be able to poker and live out the rest of his days with, and allow Poker to retire with dignity and be cared for by the family, which is so closely served over these past few years. Poker, it's kind of just he's served his duty, and at this time we'd like to ask that you approve resolution 2014 authorizing the retirement of Poker and let Sergeant Hamilton adopt him to maintain Poker with his family for the rest of Poker's life.
Does that come with that lifelong pension of kibble and bits?
Well, whatever Sergeant Hamilton can muster up.
I make a motion that we approve the resolution of 2014 authorizing the retirement and the adoption of the big dog Poker. Second, Mr. Hamilton.
We have a motion and a second.
Swager,
Aye.
Alvingus,
Aye.
Becker,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes.
Thank you, Poker. Have a good day. Enjoy your retirement.
for action to approve resolution 20-15 authorizing the business improvement grant, BIG program for the city of Guymon to include the city's economic and commercial development and business districts within the city of Guymon.
Well, back when Governor Stitt was in town, we had the opportunity to meet with several citizens and business owners, and they had some of the business owners had expressed a concern that the city of Guymon was not taking a proactive approach to helping both existing businesses and create new business recruitment. The Community and Economic Development Director and I, Sheila Martin and I, got together and kind of came up with this, mostly Sheila came up with this, but we've both worked with a program very similar to this in the past. Basically what would happen is upon application, a business could make $10,000 worth of improvements to their facility for basically $5,000. We would match them. We would match up to $5,000 for a $10,000 project. On October 3rd, we discussed at the strategic planning meeting the strategic goal of development of economic and workforce development of economic incentives and workforce development. There were two key objectives that this program would fit under. There are the increase of economic incentives and increased economic development. And there was also under some of the action items that was identified at that meeting, be evaluate tax abatement and grants and increase exposure of businesses on Main Street. We would address this program through the budget process. Right now, we're anticipating having budgeting $50,000 for this program. This would potentially allow for 10 grants if they all applied for $5,000 and met the requirements for that. Sheila, have I left anything out? Is there anything you'd like to add to this?
I just want to say, it doesn't necessarily have to be the 10,000, and we kind of wanted to do this in corporation. You know, we started our streetscape project already. We're still in the planning, or the, just kind of what we're just, sorry, I'll get my thoughts together. Right now, we're in the planning game, kind of just seeing where everything is, doing all of our testing, making sure that we have all our documentation for our streetscape project. But once we started and we start doing all of our renovations, I would like to have something in our back pocket so we can go to these business owners and say, you know, if you need help with signage or facade improvement or landscaping or something of that nature in cooperation with what we're already doing on our main street, this is something we can use. I know parking, you know, parking lots need improvements. So I figure this is something that we can do that can help our local businesses now. And again, we've already reviewed our comprehensive plan, so I make sure that within the comprehensive plan, this is something that we want to do. Well, they will have to meet the criteria in which that we predetermined back in 2017. And this is a competitive application, so just because you submit it doesn't mean automatically it will come for you or a board to review and then back to council for a final review.
Is this basically targeted for Main Street, downtown Main Street?
Well, it's not just downtown. We opened it up to our businesses right now, and then what we're going to do is we're going to develop an area that we want to see development in, and then every year it would meet that criteria of what development we're looking for. We're hoping that this is something that we do continuously, you know, for many years, and after, you know, downtown's developed, we may want to reach out. So in the grant process, it does say that there's specific criteria that they meet on an annual basis that we will come up with that criteria. But in total, the whole criteria is just within the city limits.
What happens if you have 15 applicants that are all qualified?
So we would see which ones meet our comprehensive plan the best. And that's not something that I make, where either we haven't decided on which board, or we will do an economic development board, but we will try to analyze that, and we'll try to develop a point system and then bring it, our recommendations to the council. It is a total reimbursement though. They do have to come up with the $10,000 ahead of time, then submit all receipts to us, and that's how we will pay. And all that's there's like a 7-page documentation telling you how you get reimbursed and all the criteria and guidelines for the grant project.
So in Larry's example, if there's 15 people applying and we only have funds for 5, we'll narrow it down to those 5.
Yes. And we'll at least have funds for 10. Again, it's up 50% up to 5,000, but some of the stuff may not be to that extent. What if somebody just wants to redo a sign and it's going to cost them $4,200, so we'll pay the $2,100, so there may be room for an additional person. And it also depends on, we do have it in there, they have 6 months to complete this project. So if they do submit an application, say in July, and they're not looking to get done until January, then we can still use that for the next fiscal year.
I guess, 2 problems. I'd like to see the criteria. We've got that, but we were talking about a point system and who's going to, I'd like to see more of that. And the second thing that I'm concerned about, since we started this, since our COVID started, all we've done is try to make sure we don't spend money that we really don't have. And I know it's, we're only talking $50,000, but still $50,000. It might be that $50,000 better be used for raises or some other aspect. And I'd like to kind of table this until we have a better idea of where we're at in about 6 months. We did set a record today with 165,000 new positive tests in the United States.
Mr. Dunham, can we handle this right now?
Well, if it is to be approved, we would work through this. It would be we'll have to go through the budgeting process. If it is approved, we would treat it as a priority during the budgeting process. But if we do decide to table it, then we would take that 50,000 probably out of the budget and use that money somewhere else. Not going to say that we can or can't handle it. It all depends on the priorities that we're going to set. If we decide to make this a priority project, we will figure out how to make it work, along with all of our other priority projects. If we decide not to make it a priority project at this time, we will take those funds and we will apply them somewhere else to a different project. And then if we reevaluate it in 6 months, we would have to make a budget amendment or an adjustment of some sort, or we would have to be able to show that we are collecting revenues at a higher percentage than what we were anticipating.
I also noticed in here that you can apply for it yearly.
On an annual basis? Yes, sir.
I'm going to have a problem with that because, if I'm a businessman and I say, okay, if I can get 5,000, about 10,000 this year, maybe I'll get another 5,000 out of my 10,000 next year. That's a pretty good budgeting way.
Yeah, and again, it's all on an application base. It is competitive, and it's per project. So if somebody comes to us and wants the $4,200 for a sign, we pay $2,100, and then the next year, and it's not for capital, you can't use for supplies, it's for, changes to help improve your store. So if they come through and after a while they want the facade grant portion of it, to where, they're gonna fix the outside to make it more appealing, to make it, a little easier on the eyes, then yes, they can apply for that. And it's still a competitive process.
I wouldn't be completely opposed table, and the one thing I do think is no matter what direction you enter Guymon from, it looks bad.
I agree with that.
And I think at some point we've got to start some communication with the community bringing this stuff up. This does seem like an easy avenue for that to go on. Could we approve half? Could we try 5 grants next year and see how they look?
Is that when we started the code, we talked about being very conservative. But I think that, well, I don't know how to put this. I guess my feeling is that I feel like we've got so many hurdles to jump right now with the code, restructuring. We've got streets that need to be fixed, tremendous amount of water lines that are breaking. And I really feel like we need to put our priorities in the core functions and see the government and maybe look at this down the road after maybe the COVID subsides. Because personally speaking, for myself as a small businessman, improvements in my business are not probably top of my list. Top of our list is survival right now. And so probably making an investment in your business may not be a top priority, but I'm just speaking for myself. So, that's what
If we don't go forward with this, we don't lose the opportunity to go move forward with this program next year, right?
No, sir.
No. If we decide not to go through with this at this time,
It's not-
we will bring this up at the appropriate time after discussions with council members to decide whether or not it's appropriate at that time or not.
I think it's an excellent idea. It's just, I think we do have some other issues.
And also, if we don't do it tonight, it gives the staff an opportunity to refine this program and make sure all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed before it goes back to us. And maybe a little more education.
Okay.
We table it for 6 months. So,
Make a motion that we table item number 6, approval of resolution authorizing business improvement grant to the city of Guymon.
you have a bit of time frame on that?
When I leave it to the staff's discretion.
No, let's make sure we don't.
Whatever you guys want to do.
We're fine.
Let's revisit this in 6 months.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second.
Hager?
Yes. Aye.
Swager?
Aye.
Almeters?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
All rise.
All right, number 7 is, agenda item number 7 is the construction update on the Nash Soccer Sports Complex.
Well, we have asked Multicom, Ms. Pinkham, to give a presentation on or an update on the construction of the sports complex. Mitch?
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. You know, it's about a year ago to the day almost, give or take a month, that we started talking about this thing and trying to work things out and went through the selection process and all that. And I just want to thank all of you in the city of Guymon for being so proactive and willing to work with us and get the project going. You know, Mr. Petty went out of his way to help with things, and you know, we had Larry and Joe Don came in, and he's been just as proactive. So this job with the COVID crisis and all that, even though it was delayed, it's kind of moved us towards the first year here for completion. It's still very valuable to Multicom for us because we lost several projects. We had several canceled just due to the COVID. And we're rebidding projects that were awarded to us and then just sat on the shelf. And Pratt track's a good example. We won it last February. We're rebidding it with about 6 other players that weren't involved this Thursday. So we'll see. Anyway, the project's going along very well. Our superintendent, Wayne Ostром's here, and Wayne's the guy on site, and you're more than welcome at any time to holler at Wayne, and we'll be glad to give you a tour at any time and show you what's going on. Basically, the heavy lifting has been done on the project. All the dirt work, all the underground utilities, all of the foundations and all the things for the concession stand, the roofs on it, the final finishes are going on it. And I'll go through kind of the timeline that we're looking at for completion of the project. All the fields are green. They're done. The first field got the city of Guymon's logo put in it yesterday. They're doing the infill on it, and the fields are scheduled to be completed, and I'm giving a little contingency time, but Wednesday of next week will be 100% complete. So, that being said, the irrigation rough in for all the landscaping is to be completed this Friday. I've already talked about the fields. Floor sanding and painting will be done next Friday, and we're kind of waiting on the windows to arrive so we can set those and then return the sheetrock into them and do that final stuff. Backfill and fine grading will commence, and it'll be done by next Friday as well. Not this Friday, but next Friday. So then the landscaper can go ahead and start his phase. We still have some concrete activities that will be ongoing. We weren't happy with the production or the quality of work with our concrete subs, so we subsequently have replaced him. That's caused us a little bit of a delay. We brought our own forces in for a week, and we'll do that again if we need to, but I don't anticipate that being necessary. The top out on the concession stand for all like the toilets and the sinks and all that, 1027. Irrigation complete and running, sprinklers running, 1210. Concrete will finish the 16th of December. The storage building, we sent the submittal in, approved to our supplier last June. We called in August, asked for a delivery date, and they said we still don't have approval. So there was a mix up in that. But we anticipate it's supposed to ship the week of Thanksgiving. It should be complete. It's not very complicated. All of it, the slabs in for it. It should be done the 16th of December along with the pavilion. Again, I think the project's gone real well. We got into the hotter months and we had the water issues. When we were doing all the dirt work, we couldn't hardly get enough water on to get compaction. But one thing that did work out well was we did not have to do the stabilization. So we were able to save the project. So anyway, I'm very confident unless we hit some sort of extended weather event that the project will be complete before the first. Does anybody have any questions? What we can do, we're more than happy to answer them at any time. So thank you very much, and I appreciate you selecting multi-accountability facility.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 8 is discussion and possible action to approve the new conceptual design layout for the Nash Soccer Sports Complex.
Okay, well, this complex construction committee and I have met on a couple of different occasions, and there is the matter of the 2 fields that we were not contracting to do at this time, and how we were going to proceed with that. The construction committee asked me to look into some other options, and we came back with trying to add, we'll remove the 2 soccer fields, move the fence line into the west, and then we'll replace the soccer fields with 3 baseballs, softball practice fields, 2 basketball courts that will double as a fast soccer court. We talked to Geraldine Sanchez about this extensively, and she was in favor of it. She said the fast soccer is really something that's coming up, growing in popularity. And the other thing, we would add in a turf volleyball court, and then an outdoor fitness court to make it a well-rounded fitness center, or fitness complex, sports complex. The design that we've come up with now does include a splash pad to be constructed once the money is raised for its construction. With the bids that we had and the information we had, the additional 2 soccer fields were going to cost about $2.3 million. There's a probable cost to these changes of about $595,000. The probable cost for the splash pad and its utilities is $1.5 million. And if this is approved, we will start working to move forward with our donation, our campaign, to try to get this project completely finished. Mitch, would you like to add anything to what I've said?
No, we kind of met a time or 2, as Joe Don had mentioned. We feel pretty confident we can go out and raise the money for the second phase of this. It might make a little more sense to go with this instead of 2 more turf soccer fields, to open it up for a little bit more activity in that area. Do you guys have any questions?
So I want the savings are roughly 300K.
What?
The savings are roughly 300K, 2.4.
Well, if you don't count in the splash pad at 1.5, the savings are much larger than that.
Yeah, 2.4 to 595.
Right.
Yeah, what he was saying, Serge, was that we won't add the splash pad till we get all the funds raised.
Understood.
But yes, the savings, you're correct, it'd be about 300,000 from the turf fields for one. And what was there, Joe Don? There was 1 softball field and 2
Yes.
baseball fields, so 3.
Yes, 1 softball and 2 baseball.
Yeah,
See,
sides.
move back up. There would be the new layout. We've got the walking trail all the way around the complex. The 2 basketball courts, like I said, would double as fast soccer courts. There's a volleyball court there in the middle, and then the fitness court at the end, on the east end.
But we did, Mike and Sally and I and Mr. Bolton thought we could try to raise the funds once we just kind of decide the direction we're going. I think Sheila might have been working on some other grants possibly, so the funds should be available shortly.
So putting something other than soccer is okay with the foundation that?
We visited with Nash, aka Mr. Petty, and it seemed okay. That was one reason too, we named it the sports complex versus the soccer complex, was so that if we got into this and wanted to do something different. Originally, we were doing 1 turf field. We changed that to 3 after visiting with Bolton and what he'd done with the college.
Understood.
And so we thought this might just give us a little bit more, let's say, recreational area out there. And I guess the fast soccer is coming up. I I'm getting old enough to be fast soccer.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, come right on up, really excellent.
I've got a couple recommendations. We do a lot of post-tension tennis courts, basketball courts, or pickleball courts, and futsal courts. Like soccer, futsal. We've done futsal courts for the city of Wichita. I highly recommend that you make sure these courts are post-tension. The expansive slope, post-tension. It's actually a grease cable that's encapsulated in plastic, and they're normally in about 30-foot or 30-inch increments throughout the slab. And we encapsulate that with the concrete slab, and then we pull those cables to about 3,000 pounds the next day. That's 4,000 pound concrete. But then in about 20 days, we come back and pull them to 33,000 pounds. We've got our own pulling machine, and it makes that slab almost one. So cracks are almost non-existent, and you don't get any deviation. Say if you go in and saw that slab, a lot of times I do concrete for a living, and my damn shop floor where I saw it has got just a little 1/4 inch. If you're not paying attention, you trip on it. So you don't want to do that when you're playing like that. But right now we've got 12 new tennis courts, 10 new tennis courts going on for the city of Wichita, 6 pickleball courts, 4 pickleball courts for the city of Parkville, Missouri, 2 private courts, 1 private pickleball court, city of Grand Island. So I mean, we're pretty educated on post-tension concrete and courts. We do some that are not post-tension, but I highly recommend not to.
We've got our tennis complex, the tennis courts by the hospital, put in 30 years ago. They're all post-tension.
And they're still in good shape. Yeah, it's definitely worth it.
Did that bid seem cheap to you, or what made you?
I'm sorry?
Was that bid that Joe Don had, did that seem cheap to you, or?
No, he bought my contract, I'll even save you money on that. I guarantee you, that could be built for that or less.
I really felt like the estimate that they gave us for the splash pad was rather high for what I've seen done in the past.
We wanted to start trying to get that in our repertoire, and we just haven't got there yet. We tried some tennis or some swimming pools, and it was retraining our guys because there was some far in between, and it just said we're going to get in the pool business, we're going to stay in the pool business, but that's a little different animal. I don't know if pickleball is really starting to be very popular. And that's something you might want to consider as well, for it's more of a senior crowd. So, anyway, if we can be of assistance in any way during the design process or whatever, involved in any way, please use us as a resource.
We may do that, because it would make sense for you guys to come in and sit down with our group and at least.
Great. Okay, thank you. We're going to take off. Thank you, everybody.
I guess my biggest concern on this is the original purpose was to have a soccer complex where you'd have adults, youth soccer, the high school, and the college using this. If you have 3 fields, we're going to have to turn people away.
The management of it becomes a little bit of a problem. So you got to count Goodwill as a bill that TSU's going to have to come.
Right. But then you're sending them over there for tournament.
You're going to anyway.
Huh?
If PSU has a tournament, they're going to utilize their field too. So we won't lose that. But one of these is an actual tournament field. The other 2 are kind of the practice fields. The problem we got into is what else could we utilize that space for? Just because the fields are go down about $880,000 a piece. more. We just kind of felt like it was an overabundance of fields, even early on. So I don't think it's going to hurt us as bad as what you might think on that. The Kids Inc. is a whole different field. It's smaller. So, and I don't know if you guys have met with Kids Inc. or not. We had just kind of agreed to raise money, the group I'm in, for it.
When we started out, the city wasn't going to give any money to this. We committed, 1.25, I believe, is what we're committed to now. We were told at one time, well, we can't raise any more funds because nobody believes we're going to start it. So we go borrow the money at the bank to get it started, so people know that we're serious about it. But we still haven't raised any more money since then. And as of yesterday, in my knowledge, we haven't even received a check from the college yet.
I think that's all in process, Larry.
Just
One thing that happened, I mean, let's be honest, is COVID as far as
Right.
money. It's pretty hard to have a fundraiser and bring people in.
that's true.
So I guess that would be my question is, we've established this, the first part of the project, and we went out and borrowed the money to build the 3 fields and fence and all that. Now what is the deal with it? We're going to raise the rest of that money. Without
Raising the money isn't the problem. I'll
Well,
promise that's
Well,
not.
it may not be the problem, but we don't have it. So are we going to go, what's the time frame? Is this a conceptual idea that we're going to do? once
We have the money with 3 fields. This is phase 2.
Okay. But I guess, so we've got all the money for.
Dedicated, we have all the money dedicated to the fields. The reason we went to the bank is because several, I think the city was one, the college was one, I'm trying to think who else was in that, were going to make payments over several years. So we had to go to the bank for that. We have not decided what the cost is for phase 2 because we haven't decided what phase 2 is to go and raise the money. So I mean, let's call this what it is. It's not that we went to the bank because we didn't have the money we wanted to keep going. We went to the bank because we don't want to wait like years.
I guess my point is.
We have 5 million raised or promised.
We have 4, I don't know the exact numbers, we haven't been on it for a while, but it's close to like
Last I heard,
4.2
it
or
was like
something.
about 3.2.
Well, just between the city and Nash, we're at, I don't know, 2.5, go down right
I don't have those numbers off the top of my
It's
head.
been a while.
I'd have to look.
800,000 from Seaboard, so that brings us up to 3.5. But we're not at 5, and this is 5.2 right now
Total,
for these 3.
I don't think we're that high.
I would have to go back and get my
I want
notes.
to say, I may be wrong, I'll say that now, but I think it was about 3.8 for phase 1. I don't know, Sheila might remember or somewhere in there.
Well, I
We
guess,
changed some things.
all that aside, I guess my point is that we don't have a problem moving forward looking at the concept, what can we do, and how can we get it done. But until we got the agenda packages, we're still sitting didn't know this deal was coming.
Well, so we raised the money for phase 1, so we are ready to move on to phase 2. That's what we're trying to approve tonight. What is phase 2 going to look like? Do we want 2 more fields? Do we want to do something like this? The group came and said, hey, we'd like to do something like this, versus building the 2 more fields. Because you're not going to utilize the 5 fields other than tournaments.
We had public meetings, we had open meetings over 2 years to get to the original 5. Have we had any public meetings or input?
Okay, I was not involved in any of that, and you realize that, right?
And I'm gonna say there's been no public meetings. What I call the construction group, the guys that I was told this is when I first got here, said, these are the guys that are gonna help you do it.
All right.
I discussed it with them. We discussed it with the soccer group that was part of it. I did discuss it with Mr. Petty. And until I had all of those people on board with it, I wasn't going to bring it to y'all to approve. I just talked to Mr. Petty last week, I think was when I was able to talk with him about it. So it wasn't ready to present to y'all until now.
To your point though, this has been going on about 5 years in
Yeah.
Fairfield Heights. I got involved a year and a half ago with Mike and Sally and the team. In a year and a half, this is where we've got to. We now have 3 fields standing. So I'm not sure if you're questioning, but where you're wanting to go.
My concern
But
is,
we got to do something to accomplish something in this community. Because so far we have not.
we're 3 fields,
Yeah.
pretty close. And the original was 5, and originally, one of the fields was gonna be left just for the championship field. That wasn't gonna be for practice or anything else planned, in order to not wear out the championship field.
I don't remember that.
That was when it was originally going to be grass fields, but when we
Yeah.
moved them to turf fields because of the durability of it.
Yeah. Yeah, she was absolutely right. The turf field won't wear out for 10 years. I mean, 15 years and you got to resow it is what they tell us. So I don't know, I'm not a turf expert, but I won't probably ever play on it, nor will you guys.
So are we asking tonight for permission for approval from us to go forward with the conceptual design forward? Or are we asking
We're
for
asking-
approval to go forward and build?
Well, I don't think we can build it until we have the money for it, so we need to have the design approved first, so that so we've got something to show people of what we're going to do. Because we have switched gears. We have changed from 5 fields to leave it as a 3 turf and move forward with this to have a more diversified facility. But until we have the money, I'm not ready to bid it out until we have the money lined up.
We just got to know a direction so we can raise some money. Raising the money won't be
What's the
long.
cost going to be to get the plans designed and everything else, in order to figure out what's going to cost us?
Now say that again.
For the architecture.
Architectural work and that, what's going to cost us to get to the design phase, so we know what this is going to cost us.
So real quick too, Larry, I want to clarify something to you. There's a group that's raising money.
Right.
That's what I'm. There's a construction group, which is, I think, Joe Don, I know better than you, like Rick Sappington, some people that we chose, Geraldine Sanchez, people, I mean, there are Kids Inc., I think there's some players.
Right.
There's that, so that's the other, right? So we cannot say that we want to do 5 fields, like we need a direction to go to be able to hit Noble Foundation and those folks like that. We took it to that group, and originally they wanted the 5 fields. The more they thought about it, the other ones who actually came up and said, you know, truthfully, 3 fields with Goodwill allows probably enough access for that. So with the space remaining, what can we do? And the third step is the city's the one in charge of building, right? So you got a lot of groups across this when you're asking questions. And I'm not being short with you, I just,
No.
it's like there's a lot of different groups involved in this to get you a solid answer.
And of that 595,000, there's a contingency of about $39,000 that will go toward the engineering, architectural, plan design, bidding, oversight, things like that.
See, what I'd like to do, to be honest with you, and we could probably do it, and still get an idea. Get the 3 fields opened up, see what kind of usage we're going to have on those 3 fields, and see if we are bottlenecking ourselves before we commit to doing something else.
I guess one of my concerns is this complex with the turf fields and the just turf fields and security. Because with the investment that the citizens and the owners and everybody's made in this cannot be one of those fields. Like, I've toured a lot of soccer fields. This is the first started. I've been in more soccer fields than I ever was with my kids because I didn't play except one. But anyway, even in Edmonton, they've got a huge soccer complex, and it's all grass fields. It's locked up. There's a full-time staff. The only time the gates are unlocked is when the staff members there to oversee it. So that's, to me, that's part of the consideration when we add the basketball courts and all that. What are the hours going to be? Are we going to staff?
Well, the turf fields, the 3 turf fields we have will be under lock and key. The basketball courts, the volleyball court, and the fitness court are not. So you can go out there and have a pickup game with baseball or softball. You can practice your baseball and softball. You can work out. You can go play volleyball or whatever. You can do that at any time. But the turf fields are under lock and key. The only time they're going to be open is when we've got a tournament or somebody's checked it out to play, somebody is scheduled to play ball on it, or however that is going to work.
Well, those just, again, those are questions because
Right.
you got 5 days to come up with questions and thoughts.
Right, I understand.
So,
I'm not concerned with baseball fields. We can't even get enough people out to fill a Legion team in the summer.
I don't know if the softball fields are full as heck.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole softball complex where the kids eat,
Yeah.
summer's full of air.
So what's the bottom right-hand corner? I guess that would be the southeast corner, that one right there. That's enough for 2 practice?
Yeah, you see your home plate surge.
Yeah,
corners.
they're in the corners, yeah. That area is big enough for 2 regulation size softball fields?
1 softball field, 2 baseball fields, which we know the kids in the sense of not regulation baseball.
Okay.
And I did not know if there's a lot of difference in those regulations, but it will regulation fit to basically kids in.
well, I guess one of the comments I've got is I have no problem moving forward with doing things for our kids. But I do think that on a project this size, you've had your committee and the construction committee, but you did go through all of the public retirement periods and the rest of it.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Well, whenever we did the original, we had public hearings, we had all the other things, so that we could also qualify for USDA, possibility of USDA grants.
Right.
Followed all the criteria. I think that it would be in our best interest to maybe go through a little bit of those stages before we just jump in and say,
Well, and I would say that, I guess, the thing I would say is that if city council approves of this rendering and of this concept, then we can. But if we're not going to do this, we're going to stay with the two turf fields that are out there, then there's not a reason to do all that.
You don't think it's important to have the public's input?
No, that's not what I said.
He said moving to, we need approval here to move to phase 2, or there's no reason to go through.
Right, if you don't approve it, if you don't approve of the rendering and you don't approve of the concept, why do we want to have public meetings when you may not approve it?
There might be somebody out there that has a better idea.
And that's fine, it would come up in the public comments. He's not saying do away with public comments, he's saying if we don't approve to move to phase 2, there's no reason to get one.
so rather than approve the conceptual design, we approve, how about if we worded it, we approve going to the next level, whatever that,
Phase 2.
phase 2. Because to me, the wording, and I'm not, I guess my deal is, the action is to approve this new conceptual design, so we're going to say everything on the design is good for the council.
I want to say one thing real quick. I am all for public comment. I think that's great. I think we should do that. The one thing I think that we need to understand is some of the people that we've involved in this are complex experts. To the point of saying, hey, soccer brings in 2 people, a baseball or softball game on the weekend, like the old oil field tournaments, it was you and 5 buddies in a car and you came home. Soccer brings in motel nights, 2 people to every player, like a whole lot of business financial sense. I have no problem opening it up to public, but we also need to understand, if we're gonna do that, then let's also bring in those experts that are gonna say, hey, financially, this is why you do this, and to help us. Because I agree, yeah.
Everybody at the table.
Yeah, but I think we're getting walked down on focus we don't need to. Once again, we just need to say, hey, let's go forward with phase 2 and garner public comment and complex experts before we decide the design.
I don't have a problem with that.
We've been beating this horse for 5 years and haven't got anything out of that first bill. Let's keep moving.
If we do that before we get a design, we've got a design.
So we can approve the design, that doesn't mean.
I mean, you've got a concept
Yeah.
of what is approved. I mean, and if the council still wants to have 5 soccer soccer fields out there, I'm fine with that. We can move forward with that. But if the council is willing to look at something different than that, well, we've got an idea here of what that could be. And I don't have a problem with going out for public
I mean,
hearing.
there's three fields out there now. I mean, I'm a little biased, but people have been asking for splash pad, play areas like that. We've talked about it at the pool, it just didn't make, financially, it hasn't made sense. But to me, I mean, this is gonna be a very complex, very nice soccer fields. Like they need to be locked down until they're rented out to somebody with.
And it's designed to do that. We just thought what would give us the most use in this space, especially with the school for sure. The other thing is if you drive around Sunset Lake and watch people walking in the summer and using the quasi fitness stuff, it's surprising. There's a lot. That's actually one.
They want to do that, and I don't want to lock this down. The walking trail is around. I know the concept shows it, but I'm with the splash pads and all that. That can be done somewhere else. In my opinion. And then this would be strictly soccer, but I'm not an expert.
And the one thing about the splash pad, the reason it is there is that primarily when there are tournaments there going on there, and for people that bring in little kids that aren't going to be playing,
I'm all for splash
they
pads.
can have a splash pad there to play in while Big Brother is playing soccer, or while they're waiting for the next game.
Yeah, I understand that. Trust me.
That's the reason that is there.
This is awesome. I don't think it's the right area. That's what I'm.
Personally, I'd like to see us raise some money.
You can't raise money without having a conceptual design for people to.
We've got 3 fields, how come we haven't raised all the money for that?
Larry, we're not that far off, but we keep having the same damn argument. We're not that far off. Joe Don can give you the exact numbers. We can have this argument later one-on-one, but right here.
My personal opinion is we shouldn't have had to even put a dime into this because that was the idea at the start. The city was not going to put any money into it.
Well, if it was up to you, you wouldn't do one damn thing good for the community. You're against everything.
You're wrong. Because I said I wanted to stay on this council to complete this.
Well,
And
we're
now it's
trying.
cut in half.
We're trying. We've been trying. It Andy.
You just said
We went from
yourself.
grass to.
You just said yourself that when soccer people come, they bring 5 people.
They
stay
do.
overnight.
I didn't
Baseball,
say
they
5
bring.
people. I said they bring 2 to 1.
Okay, but and they stay overnight. Baseball, you said yourself, baseball, they come in,
I
play, and
agree.
leave.
These aren't baseball fields. They're not regulation.
Okay, all right, gentlemen, both of you, let's take a deep breath. Slowly.
When I know that the money is in the bank to pay for these 3 fields, I'll vote for the second phase.
Okay, Joe Don can figure that out.
Okay, well, I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry that I forgot that I had this, I guess, with me. We do have a total of $4.5 million pledged.
Thank you.
Pledged.
That's pledged because of the payouts.
Right.
I understand that,
Okay.
but we haven't got a check from the university.
I think there's some weird thing with that. I can't explain.
Okay, what's the cost of the 3 fields?
The bid on those three fields was about $4.6 million.
Okay. So we're still, even pledged, we're still not, don't have the money. But we're close.
You said the other fields would be another 108K pop.
The other two fields, for Multicom that did the other two fields as their alternate, it was 2.3 million.
That's not,
More.
somebody said 108K earlier.
No,
That's not right.
it was, the Multicom's bid to do the other two soccer fields was 2.3.
Just the turf is
But if we did, I guess the reason I would like to see maybe what I'm saying, you guys, construction people, the money people, soccer people, and I admire everybody that's been working on this thing full time and effort. But I know that part of our discussions has been that in those areas over there that we didn't turf, it all be sprinkled and used for little kids, practice fields and soccer fields. And they still could be. You can do anything on grass. But I still, from what I've heard, I've had brought up to me around town, I would sure like to make sure we get everybody's input into just doing that. And look at all the possibilities. I don't have a problem going forward with conceptual design with that provision that we have some other companies, just to make sure that everybody's on board and everybody wants to play the game.
Yeah, I want to see this continue. Obviously,
I don't think anybody's arguing that. I mean, we're like digging on the same trench here. Like, let's approve the conceptual design with regards to public comment and move on to the next item.
That approved preliminary conceptual
I'll make a motion that we approve the new preliminary conceptual design for the layout of the Nash Soccer Sports.
second.
We have a motion and a second.
Hager?
Aye.
Swager?
Aye.
Alvejas?
Aye.
Peterson? All ayes.
Okay. Everybody take a deep breath. Agenda item number 9 is presentation of Guymon Public Library and Arts Center's 2020 usage data.
Blair, would you like to make that presentation?
We won't let that.
That was a short comment.
Sure.
I don't have the infographic in front of me. Do we have that, Joe? Oh, there
They
you go.
have it, yes.
Okay. This is the Guymon Public Library and Arts Center's usage since the beginning of the year through the end of October. You can see how many library card signups we had. That quite a few of those was at the beginning of the school year. We had several teachers who emailed me or called me and asked to sign their students up for library cards so that they could use our digital resources like Overdrive and Hoopla and Newsbank. We had quite a few digital resource checkouts because we were closed for nearly 3 months during the COVID. Also, the internet access includes anything within the building and the Wi-Fi within the building and outside of the building, which that Wi-Fi does extend to the parking lot. We did add quite a few materials while we were closed, and then when we opened, the programming librarians were able to arrange the main part of the library with displays to where those materials were prominently displayed. And even with us being closed for the amount of time that we were closed, you can see we still had quite a few visitors with 11,345. That actually has gone up quite a bit since we've reopened everything in the last month.
When we had our library board meeting, I thought it was pretty impressive. We've had 11,345 visitors. Because we all hear a lot of things about the library being built. That's a lot of trouble.
On the day it opened, there was a census from the day it opened. It's not something we're working on now. It's been a good initiative.
Thank you.
Anything else? That's it?
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Don't leave there.
Okay, we're not, we may not be.
You're not finished.
Don't leave the building. Discussion, and agenda item 10, number 10, is discussion and possible action to approve the library's policy on the
At the last library board meeting, they were presented and they discussed the policies and governance. Now, I am aware that the policies and governance document did not make the packet. We have reposted that so that it is there. And, but if, Blair, if you'd like to explain any of the changes and any of the information that was in that packet, I'm sure the council would certainly be happy to hear.
What we did was, when I filled out the state report for this year, we discovered that the policies on file were expired. During the COVID shutdown of the library, I spent the majority of my time going through the library policies that we currently had and comparing them to other libraries that were the same sort of size as we were and larger as we hope to grow in the future. There were various parts that were not as comprehensive as they should be. With, I know the answers to questions that may come up, but I can't always be there, so this is for my staff to have in case they have a question. Some of the large changes were in the communicable disease policy. With the COVID situation, we were able to put in, yeah, go ahead. It's way down there. No, not down.
Other way.
Other way, other direction. Keep going. Okay, that's the top. So it does state that we will not exclude anybody from coming in, if they have a communicable disease. However, it does allow for us, if somebody is obviously so ill that it is obvious to us that they are, that we can go and ask them to please leave and come back at another time whenever they are feeling better. It also puts in guidance for our staff and for the janitorial staff as to how often surfaces should be wiped down, how often things should be cleaned. It's just a guideline basically for the staff to be able to go to and know what they can say to the public and what they can do within the situation, obviously, that we're dealing with right now. That was one major change. Another change was in the security, and I know this was one that came up. It was not in our policies, but it is in the state law that you cannot carry firearms within the building, and that they are to remain in, they're to remain in your vehicle, locked in your vehicle. This was not in the policies. We've added that to the policies now so that if the staff wants to say something to somebody, we have this backed up. And I do believe that it has the law, which law that it is in there so that they can go to that as well. there's just various things that we've added that just were not in there, and things that we've elaborated on that were just very general and not specific enough in case somebody argued with the staff.
One of the ways Blair explained it, and she did a very good job in our meeting, was basically we've got all this new technology. We didn't have the guidance within the library parameters to handle certain situations, and she went through.
So, I guess my question is, your staff have given this on board with the
Yes.
city administration and our HR department, the library. was on board with it.
And the library board is approved.
And it had a lot of discussion.
Sounds good to me.
I'll make a motion that we approve library policies and governance, item 10.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Chambers.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Slater.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
About 4 ayes.
Agenda item number 11 is discussion and possible action to approve the 2021 library board meeting schedule.
Yeah, this is just pretty simple. The library board has changed their meeting schedule up a little bit for 2021. They have moved to quarterly meetings, and they're moving the time from noon, 12 noon to 4 p.m. in order to better accommodate their members. It has been approved by the library board, and it's just being presented to you for ratification.
Make a motion that we approve 2021 library board meeting schedule, item 11.
Second. Have a motion and a second.
Chambers.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Slater.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
About 4 ayes.
Agenda item number 12 is discussion and possible action to accept the resignation of Guymon Schmidt, library board president.
I believe Ms. Schmidt is in the process of moving away. She has tendered her resignation from the board, and the library board has accepted that resignation, and this is just coming back to the city council for ratification again.
Make a motion that we accept the resignation of Evelyn Schmidt, library board president, item 12.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second.
Slater.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Chambers.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
About 4 ayes.
Agenda item number 13 is discussion and possible action on accepting the application of Christian Dillon to fill the board position for the unexpired term ending on 12/30/2021. The library board minutes and city manager's commentary is attached.
Am I right? She's the high school librarian?
Yes.
So we thought that'd be a good match.
Yeah.
So that's the word.
And I believe the only reason Ms. Dillon is not here tonight is because she recently had a child, and we want to wish her good luck.
I make a motion that we approve Kristen Dillon to fill the library board position.
Second.
Have a motion in 2 seconds.
Slater.
Aye.
Chambers.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
About 4 ayes.
Agenda item number 14 is discussion and possible action to designate the property across the street from the Dollar Park as a perpetual city government park in compliance with federal land and water conservation funds.
I'm going to ask you to table this item for right now. There were some complications that had come up when we communicated our intent with the land water conservation people, and I just ask you to table this at this time.
Make a motion that we table item 14.
Have a motion and a second.
Chambers.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Slater.
Aye.
Peterson. About 4 ayes.
Agenda item number 15 is discussion and possible action to authorize the city manager to negotiate a lease agreement with the Guymon Chamber of Commerce for the Guymon River.
Okay, this came up a few weeks back. I did email everybody about it individually. And I just wanted to get it out here so we could make a decision as to whether or not we were going to try to lease this property. But the Guymon Chamber of Commerce approached me about leasing, doing a long-term lease for the property. The pros and cons to leasing this property is minor. We would be able to, the pros would be the city would no longer need to keep a calendar of events for the facility. We wouldn't have to dedicate employee time to tracking the events. And we wouldn't have to dedicate labor to do the minor maintenance that's needed, such as cleaning and custodial. The one thing that we would need to do, the cons to it would be that we would still be responsible for the major upkeep of the facility. And the other con would be that the amount that we would lose, the $6,000 to $9,000 amount revenue that we would typically get off this facility, we would not be receiving that money.
So I brought this up originally when Wagner was here, or Wagner brought it up to the rodeo committee. And I did a little research, and a lot of the communities around, to have a really strong chamber, and I'm going to be honest, I'm a member of the chamber, but I feel like we're somewhat lacking as a chamber. One way to do is, one of our problems with our chamber is we really don't have an income stream to help steady the chamber, okay? So, one of the problems too was we dedicate a guy to go out there and clean, releasing, as a city, releasing the building and doing things like that, but then we have to close it down in the summer, or in the winter, so it gets closed down. What I proposed to the chamber was, hey, you guys can create somewhat of a revenue stream renting this. You guys keep it clean. You guys do the maintenance on the building. It's the building upstairs. You guys take care of the advertising, and then do something with the city where you pay them like 15% back in revenue, right? So the city is still getting a revenue stream from it. This chamber went out and bought tables and everything, and the city has been utilizing those tables. And the chamber itself had several of those getting tore up. So we kind of came back and said, hey, can we just lease that? Because actually the rodeo built the building. The rodeo built the concession stands, and the rodeo built the beer garden. Anything built on city property is in their city property, right? So it's just kind of it seems like whenever I got on there, it was been kind of a dig. So maybe what I was thinking is we could come up with some kind of symbiotic relationship that everybody's working together, the city's getting something from that, and the chamber then creates a revenue stream to attract better businesses in the community.
So, are you talking about the entire facility or the one?
Originally when Wagner and I started talking, we were talking about just the, we call it the hospitality building up top. Wagner wanted to do the whole thing. As we talked about it, why not, right? The problem was the ability to manage the mowing and stuff. If we got behind on mowing, I'm sure this would be very vital to Larry. If we got behind on mowing and looked bad or something, right, like what's the deal? So what we kind of got to was, because the city, I think, has to mow basically about once a month, they go down there, other than when the rodeo comes. But they would take care of the mowing, that kind of thing, and then the rodeo would pay that 15% back of what they used to. I think you'll get a lot more leases with the chamber running it than what we're getting with the city running it. Just because advertising, it's not what the city does.
Getting back to my question.
The whole deal is what I understand. It's kind of what the city wants to do.
Rodeo grounds.
It makes more sense, Kim, to do the whole grounds just because of the water and shut it
I don't
down.
have, I guess tonight, I don't have an issue with it. I was involved. I guess my point is, I think there's going to have to be a considerable amount of time to sit down and decide who does what, and what the parameters are. Time frame of the lease is going to be for 5 years, it's going to be 10 years, it's going to be 3 years. Also, what about who's going to pay the insurance, who's going to pay the utilities?
We figured it would work just like, originally what we talked about was it would work just like the activity center, or, the city owns a lot of facilities that, groups of activity center, something else.
Well, in that area, we've got the high school football field on that plan, we on the activity center now. I guess my point is before we authorize this tonight, I think there needs to be some very in-depth discussions as to who's liable for what.
That's the-
And that would be part of the negotiation with the chamber. And just be honest with you, before I entered into any kind of, before I spent that kind of time, you're right, it's gonna take a lot of time to get it hammered out. That's the reason there's not a lease presented.
I just wanted to have that up front.
Yeah.
All those things that possibly do, because it's like the school's deal and the county's deal, when they did the lease, they took over everything.
The final lease would come back to the council for approval, but I just wanted to know that this is what the council wanted to do before I spent that time trying to do that lease.
Make sure we're all on the same page.
Yes.
I make a motion that we give the city manager permission to negotiate a lease agreement with the Chamber of Commerce. Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Swager.
Aye.
Baker.
Aye.
Alvitas.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes.
Agenda item number 16 is discussion of possible action needed into the executive session pursuant to 25 Oklahoma statutes 307B, Part 4, for confidential discussion with the city attorney concerning a pending investigation, claim, or action.
Make a motion that we enter executive session.
Second. Have a motion and a second.
Baker.
Aye.
Alvitas.
Aye.
Swager.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes.
Move to executive session, and we'll be back.
I'll get back to this.
Tomorrow's turn here, let's see. It's tomorrow, motion day. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, the senior partner, one of the senior partners in the firm when I first came out here. Secretary of State said, "We're gonna be closing on Veterans Day." You're just starting you, Harry.
I tried to get Larry too, and he wouldn't.
Okay.
He's a.
Well, he should have a motion.
I make a motion, we resume city council meeting.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to come
Edgar?
out of executive session.
Aye.
Alvedras,
Aye.
Swager,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
We have 4 ayes.
We'll reconvene as the Guymon City Council. No action was taken. Agenda item number 17, reports from committees, council members, and city manager. Anybody got anything?
Not aye, sir.
Well, if council doesn't have any reports, I would like to give you a financial report. I have provided you over the past few weeks with a weekly update. I won't elaborate much on those tonight unless you have some questions about them. In just a brief overview of the financial situation for the city of Guymon, through October 31, we've collected about 90% of what our fiscal year estimate would be across all of our funds, across our general fund, and we have expended about 68% of what we had budgeted. With the 90% revenues that we've collected, it's running well ahead of the budget estimate, which would be at about 83%. And then our year-to-date expenditures is running well behind our estimated expenditures of 83%. The Guymon Public Works Authority has collected about 82% of the budgeted revenues, with 83% being the target, and we have expended about 77% of our allocated appropriations. Our sales tax, we have collected through the month of November. We collected $506,000, which was a decrease of about 8% from the same month in 2019. And year-to-date, we are about 9% behind collections for the same time frame as 2019. As we look through the packet that I've got there on your desk, overall, we have collected about 86% of our budgeted revenues, and overall, across all city funds, we have spent about 69% of our budgeted appropriations. We are transferring around 85%, which would be right about the same target of where we plan on being. If we compare where we were at the beginning of the year, our fund balance was approximately $26 million. At the end of this year, or at the end of October 30, October 31, we would have been at about 31 million. So we've increased our fund balance by about $4 million. And this would go toward, we've done this in an effort to try to prepare for the future and prepare for the upcoming years and some of the uncertainty that we have there. I know you just got the financial report at your place today. After you have had the opportunity to review that, if you have any specific questions, please let me know, and I will certainly try to answer them. And that would be my finance report.
Anybody else? No. Hadn't thought of anything?
No.
Okay. Well, if that's it, we're done. We're adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
So what is this?